Hi folks, today we are making date chocolate caramel bars. We start with 1 cup of almonds going into a food processor. We pulse those up on low, alternating between low and medium until you get a coarse cornmeal sort of consistency, maybe a bit larger than cornmeal, fairly coarse yet. And then we add to that 1/8 cup of hemp seeds. And we pulse that up a few times to combine. Then we're going to add to that a 1/2 teaspoon of fine sea salt, pulse to combine that. And then we're going to go into it with a little bit of vanilla. We could have added this earlier, but it doesn't really matter when you add that. About a teaspoon of vanilla, actually. And then you're going to end up going into this with 6 to 8 dates, depending on size. You want them softened in water first, so soak them in some warm water first. Sort of break them apart and add them kind of one at a time as you pulse. And you want this to form together somewhat like wet sand. You want it to stick together more on the dry side than the wet side, though. You want it to end up being kind of crunchy. You do need it to stick together, though. Then you go into an 8x8 prepared baking dish that's been greased down. Dump that in there and form it with your fingertips. You want a fairly tight foundation there of crumbs, so pack that in well, and then stick it in the freezer while you do this next part. The next part is adding dates to your food processor. You want these to have been soaked in water for about 20 minutes. We're gonna go, that's about 12 ounces of dates, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla went in there, and a 1/2 teaspoon of fine sea salt. And you pulse this around quite a bit. You're going to have to break those down for a while. And then we're going to go into that start out with a 1/4 cup of nut butter there. I like sesame butter. And then we're going to go into that with 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract and a cube or 2 of ice. Sounds strange, but it kind of gives it some lift and some fluffiness actually, and creams it up. And you want to break this down quite a bit until you get a consistency like that that's fairly smooth, almost like caramel. So you're going to end up pulsing that all together for a fair amount of time while you're scraping the sides down until you get the caramel-like consistency. And taste it as you go so that you get the taste you want. You may have to add a little bit more salt to it to get sort of a salted caramel type taste, or a little bit of more of the nut butter. You can add up to a 1/2 of a cup or so of nut butter. Usually end up more with a 1/4 cup. And here we're just sort of putting it on top of your base layer there with a spoon. Form it into the pan as evenly as possible. And of course, I'm just using the back of a spoon here. You can use whatever works. Just form it in there, smooth it down, try to get it even. Then this is going to go into the freezer while you do the next part here, which is adding your melted chocolate. And this is dark chocolate. Actually, what I use is a 3.5 ounce bar of dark chocolate and a few semi-sweet and milk chocolate chips that have been melted. That's what your chocolate is, and you pour that on. And now I'm sprinkling on hemp seeds, and they're very good for you, and they're crunchy and they're really tasty. I'm putting on some cow nibs, and I'm going to go with some unsweetened coconut flakes as well. You want to do this quickly while your chocolate is still melted there. Let these set for a minute or two, no more, or it'll be hard to slice them apart without busting the chocolate. Use a hot knife that has been warmed under water. Slice these into squares and store these in the freezer and enjoy them immediately, and they keep well in the freezer. I hope you really enjoyed this video and that you subscribed to our channel if you did enjoy this video. this helps us produce more content. Thanks very much. And again, thanks for watching.